We're at 10:01, and Erica, are you interested in doing the, I don't want to put you on the spot.
I'm not getting emotional today.
Okay, all right, then Jay, I'm gonna ask you.
Sure.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, though.
Yeah. Thank you, and let's go ahead and stay standing for the pledge.
Let us pray. Lord, we come to you today and we're thankful for another day that you've given us and thankful for another meeting at the City of Walnut Grove. We are mindful this week of Memorial Day and the people that have served this country and given their life for this country. And we thank you for their service and ask you to bless over all the families that have served and are still serving. We ask you to guide over this council and let them have good discussion and make good decisions on behalf of the City of Walnut Grove. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jen. Okay, we'll go ahead and move forward with a roll call, and all council is present. Thank you all for being here. Before we get to agenda approval, I do want to make two little changes. In case Joe has an additional meeting to go to or anything. Under new business, we're going to switch 1 and 2. So we will do the conditional use on tax parcel for the Mike's Tire Shop first. And then we will do the budget review second, because I know that will be a long discussion. A lengthy discussion. And then also under old business, we are going to be on number 2, which discussion needs to be replaced with vote.
You said replace with vote.
Replace with vote, please, on the M&M Deer Processing Business License Appeal. And we are doing it at this meeting at the request of the last meeting of Councilmember McClanahan to make sure we made a decision on that at this meeting, not at the next council meeting.
Mayor was just advertised as a special.
No, it wasn't.
We cannot.
We can't.
When I looked it up online, and in the GMA publication, it says because this is a regularly scheduled meeting, it does not preclude us making decisions.
I've never operated that way. It's a work session. So my recommendation would be to put it off to the next regular meeting unless it's a special call. Usually when it's even an advertised work session, you have to call it a special call meeting to vote.
Okay. Then at the recommendation of our city attorney, we'll go ahead and put that on the next agenda for a vote.
So we're just removing that from
Yes,
the...
we will be removing that.
All right, I will make a motion to approve the agenda with the changes of switching 1 and 2 under new business. And number 1 would be the conditional use for Mike's Tire Shop, and number 2 would be the budget review. And then under old business, removing item 2, M&M Deer Processing Business License Appeal.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you all. Thank you, Jay. And we'll go ahead and move on to old business and discussion of compensation of Walnut Grove elected officials. And Joe, I'm gonna ask you to come on up. Hello.
As we've talked about in the previous work sessions for the past couple of months, this has been a staple on our agenda just to allow council to be able to talk and debate on the possibility of increasing compensation in any form. Councilmember McClanahan, while we were working on the budget this past couple of months, brought up a good point recently regarding gas stipends for the mayor. And I just wanted to put that out there just in case there's any debate on it. That needs to increase, how the history of that was, and things of that nature.
Is there a history of that?
I believe you.
The per diem was in place when Lamar Lee was mayor, and I think it was back even before Linda that this went into place, where keeping up with the mileage for the little short trips and stuff became very tedious for everybody. And so they looked at it and decided that the better option was to, in lieu of the, not per diem, mileage reimbursement, in lieu of the mileage reimbursement, that they would just set a flat fee for the gas allowance. So I view it as not income or not a,
Benefit?
not a benefit, but in replacing the mileage. So that was set in place at the $50 per month for the mayor at that time. And nothing has changed since then. And so I had recommended in my notes that I felt like that the gas allowance probably should be raised a little bit. I mean, over the years, gas has gone up a lot, and plus the work that the mayor and the admin do in being around town and being at more meetings than we have previously is involving a lot more travel. And I felt like going up to about $75 would be more in line. And so there was some question as to we need to vote on that as part of a salary, would that be considered a salary increase or benefit? Or would it still fall under a replacement for the
I consider
mileage
that more of a
reimbursement?
reimbursement than a salary increase, but it doesn't need to be so defined as,
I don't think, me looking at it later may change my mind.
I don't think it needs to be so defined as like a 50 cents per mile or whatever calculation, but I think there does need to be some reasoning of why we're increasing it from $50 to whatever, and some calculation based off that, so that it doesn't seem like an additional stipend to the mayor, but it still falls under a reimbursement of expenses on behalf of the city.
What year was that?
Well,
Do you
let's
know?
see, that would have been, Linda, you came in what, 2018? So it would have been prior to 2018. It was when Kathy and Wayne were still on board.
It's almost 29 years.
No,
No, 2026.
18.
Oh, 18, sorry.
yeah, roughly 10 years ago. I mean, and certainly gas and cost of your, because, you know, when you get mileage, that's not considering just gas. That's, you get the mileage, but that's also the wear and tear on your personal vehicle. So to me, $75 is probably a lot cheaper than we would pay if we were to give a mileage reimbursement. Plus
That
it's,
brings up a very good point about wear and tear, and increased responsibilities. And that's where I'm gonna come into talking about stipends, monthly stipends for council members. Whether we want to look at it this way or not, change is here. Change is still coming. Responsibilities of council members, where attending a couple of meetings a month in the past may have suited the needs of our community in how council members perform their duties. It's not like that anymore. In the past, when I was a council member, each council member was asked to be on a committee, and starting in the new fiscal year, I'm going to be asking the same again. Every other city in our surrounding area, the bigger cities, which we're growing into slowly, each of their council members serves on a committee. That's an additional amount of time for you, along with all of the regular meetings, the chamber meetings, if you're doing the due diligence of meeting other council members and city officials and county officials. These are all things that are necessary as a council member these days to ensure our relationship with the surrounding areas and in our region, and it's attending those regional meetings too. I know we've had a talk and a consideration about a servant's heart, and there's no doubt in my mind that everybody up on this council and people who serve in these different capacities have a servant's heart. But so do teachers, so do firemen, so do police officers. They all have a servant's heart, but you certainly wouldn't expect them to do their jobs or their responsibilities for very little pay. I'm not suggesting what it should go to, but I am suggesting that there is consideration taken for these type of things. Not to mention, right now, everybody who is here is able to work out a schedule to be at these meetings, to be at city events, to be at community events. We need to look at a way that other people who may be interested in serving can afford to also serve. Do we have young families or young people who have families, and coming to a meeting at night would be tough because of babysitting? Do they need to take off from work? These are all things we have to talk about and consider, because we need to look to the future and the type of people and who's interested in not only coming, but who would serve the citizens well. And are we missing out on a population of people because, one, people can't afford, two, they don't think it's worth it because it would take away from other time or other financial interests? So these are all things that have to be talked about. Do we have servants' hearts? Yes. But if we're going to bring in and have people apply or run for office that are qualified, who have the experience necessary as the city grows, then we need to look at increasing the stipend. And I'm not saying just willy-nilly. You know, maybe there's a formula, like Jay said, that we can come up with, that as things increase and the responsibilities increase and the meetings increase and everything else that goes along with being a council person, we can maybe come up with a formula so it's not just, you know, every few years we talk about it. So that's where I'm coming from. I haven't really spoken on this yet because I wasn't at the first meeting where it was talked about. But I've done a lot of thought, taken a lot of thought, done a lot of research, looked at lots of other cities. And I think all of those things need to be taken into consideration when we talk about what a stipend would be and the position that city council members are now in. We're not just at that two-meeting thing anymore. We have to expand our roles, and when those roles expand, we have to make sure we're expanding the pay for that too. In my opinion. Okay?
I believe that DCA does a decent job of providing us with a plethora of information specifically on this topic. Do I think it's hitting the mark 100%? No, but that's where our discernment as council will come in to make those decisions based on our current status as a city and where we see us going in the next couple of years. And if we don't revisit this often and frequent, we're setting a very low bar for future councils. Because like you said, we do need to focus on the future of our city and setting up future councils for success.
And now's the time to do it too. We're still, 18 months away from another election, about 18 months or so.
Yeah.
A change would only affect two current council members. The majority of us would have to run again.
Hold on, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. If we gave an increase, wouldn't it affect everyone on the council?
It would affect everybody, but you, myself, and Maxine all have to run again, so it may not affect us.
Oh, yeah, okay,
It
sorry.
would only affect two of our council members.
And
Right.
Linda and I would only get it if we were re-elected again, correct?
No, that's
No,
true.
at the next
Next
election,
election
it's
cycle.
supposed to
Yeah.
roll for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a benefit that we
No, well,
are
the
guaranteed to
majority
see
of us
exactly.
would not guaranteed to be on council
No.
the next time around.
Right. You mentioned some type of formula. Depending on what you're thinking along those terms, I'm not sure a formula that goes forward is practical from the standpoint of we don't know who's going to be in the office. We don't know who's going to be in your position as the leader of council. And so that plays a big role in the future, in looking toward the future, because if we have somebody come in and take those positions, and you never know what's going to get somebody into office these days. It could be someone that's going to be very sedentary and not require of the council the same things that you feel like should be required of us. So we need to take that into account too, to some degree. as we plan this. Do I agree that probably we should be looking at an increase in order to attract more? I have to say, I absolutely do. And this goes back to, I was promoting more than where we are now, more than 10 years ago to council. I was coming in as a citizen and standing up there and saying, y'all need to increase that stipend. You need to increase it. And at that time, I was at 501,000.
Well, I'll say at the beginning of this conversation, I wasn't really on board for increasing any type of stipend or pay for council because exactly what Mayor Moncrief was saying, like, you have a servant's heart, you don't do this for the money. But in reality, what you just said about it's not just the people that are on council right now that you're looking at. We all fortunately have the ability to negate our schedules in order to make different things work. But if you just look, my daughter babysits. She's not going to anybody's house to babysit for less than $40. I mean, and that's that's her being nice. And if, like, going to a municipal dinner or something, you're probably looking at paying a babysitter $100 if you have somebody, or if you have somebody else.
I pay a sitter every time I come to a meeting, every time I go to any meeting.
I mean, that's at least $100. That's not a cost that I've had to incur, and I am sorry to the other council members on council that have had to incur that, and I haven't even thought about it. I agree that I like having younger people on the council. I
do
like
too.
having different opinions from different generations. And if the current pay is making you come out of pocket to be on council. So I am in favor of increasing it, which is surprising to me because I was not at all. Great job. Thank you for bringing about some things I didn't think about.
Well, I'm going to say, I've been through 3 elections. The last 2 elections, there was an increase available for the new council member. And nobody ran against me. Nobody stepped up and wanted to run. So it's not the money that's going to bring people here.
Maybe they didn't step up because they couldn't afford to, or it wasn't worth their time.
Or also, we have more people coming into the community, and as the community grows, the council is going to attract more attention because you're setting ordinances and
Policy and holding events that are gonna be more
And
impactful to community than they have.
we have
in
a
the
city
past.
administrator, we have code enforcement that's doing code enforcement, we could have a city marshal, city events, sidewalks, signs.
Everything.
When they start seeing things happening in the city, they're gonna say, oh, how do I get to have a say-so in this? And I expect more involvement.
And just like when we were up here making decisions, these are not our personal preferences.
Right.
We are not getting a stipend or trying to raise it because it's gonna make us rich, because we know it's not.
Nor should it.
Okay.
It shouldn't be enough
No,
to
it is-
attract for the money.
Exactly. But it's about the future of the citizens of Walnut Grove, and are we bringing in people for council who will do the best job for them, and how do we appeal to them to bring them in?
And like there was someone on the DDA when I was serving on the DDA. She had 2 small children, and it was really hard for her to get to DDA meetings. She did a lot of back work at home and continuing education, but it was not easy for her. It'd be nice to be like, oh, well, at least you not go in the hole by serving, you at least have to have enough to cover
When I
babysitters.
started, I did not have the need for a sitter at my home.
Mhm.
So it's a blessing to me to have anything toward that, because I would still do it regardless.
Right.
You know, I
That's
would,
the point, though. You're not doing it for the money,
Right.
You know.
But if it had created a hardship for me, I may have had to step down.
Exactly.
And with the housing.
So you would
costs
kind of
and-
want to find that balance where you're not creating a hardship for anyone, but also that you're not making the money so attractive that people are
Right.
going to run for the money versus the servant's heart.
We're not.
Well, we don't have a budget for that.
We're not Congress.
No, no, we don't. Okay. I just wanted to share my point, because I had not really shared that with anybody about how I felt about it. And like I said, I'm not going to give a specific number, because I really don't have one in my mind. But just remember, there are people with servant hearts out there in our schools, in our fire departments, in our police stations, sheriff's offices, people who volunteer. There's always a benefit, and we've got to look at what is in the best interest of the citizens of Walnut Grove and bringing in the best people for council. And we can't exclude them because they can't afford to get here.
And as we think it through, we're getting ready to do the budget, and where we land on that, it won't affect this year's budget. But we keep in mind that then next year, if we vote that in, we will be adding that to next year's budget. And you always hope your budget can stay close to what it was the year before, at the,
Yeah.
worst case scenario, you always hope that you can stay there rather than having to increase, or at least in respect, as we have new buildings, we have new homes, new whatever, everything's going to increase, but you hope it kind of increases at a level rate, so. I mean, I will throw a number out there, because in my mind, I was kind of looking at 600 and 1,200. That just seemed like a good place to land, because I know that the mayor's job now takes up a lot more time and a lot more doing than it ever has in the past, having been around for almost 20 years now.
Well,
So,
and council members have increased also.
Eh,
There's a lot more engagement, a lot more
I mean,
involvement.
Linda should be able to speak to that. She knows what she's doing now as
Well, I
compared,
came in at $60.
right.
But our city is growing, and we have different responsibilities now.
And at that
And then it
time,
went to $100. Nobody ran against me to get that $100.
well, maybe
Maybe they
they're
think
happy
last
with
time,
they're happy with
Nobody
what
ran
you're
against me to
doing.
get $400.
But they're happy
So
with what you're
it's not
doing.
the money.
All right.
It's not money, it's gonna bring you.
Your election cycle is also off.
It may not bring anybody, but it will keep people from staying away when they might be thinking about it. If we're in the right range to,
But it's not.
I know
just about- it's not just
Loganville-
about attracting people.
Loganville
It's
went
the
up this
demand on
year.
our Time and our efforts.
I think they voted to go up.
Compensated.
Loganville.
Linda, the wear and tear on your vehicle and stuff, going down to conference at GMA, going to municipal dinners.
That's
There's-
my choice.
It is your choice,
is.
but you shouldn't
And I
have
don't
to,
have to do it.
you don't have to do it, but in order to build the relationships and network with other city officials and be efficient at the position that you chose to serve your community in, you need to do it. So it costs you money to do those things.
It costs me money, but so does everything else. I've been in the same position that Matt Samuel's in. I've been a caregiver. I took care of my husband during the day and worked at night. I did it for 4 years, or 3 years. If he was still here, I'd still be doing it. I didn't get any extra money, but
For
I
taking
still
care of your
did
husband?
it. I took care of him.
No, I understand
And
that.
I took care, when I was working, when my kids were little, I took care of them and worked. Was it a hardship? Yes, it was. But I did it. And if you want to do something, you're going to do it. A few more dollars is not going to make you do a better job at it.
There is always an option for any council member who feels so inclined to donate.
But
stipend if
there's,
it does go
there's
increase.
also the theory of being what is fair. Whether you would do it for the money or not for the money, whether somebody would run for the money or not for the money. What is the right thing as council for us to do for the future people involved, for the, not really the current people involved, because technically it doesn't affect us. But, yes, I think it's important that we keep up with
Okay.
with what's going on in the world, and what we'll be called to do, as council people from the citizens, as our citizenship increases, we're called to do more by the citizens. So they need a part in that. So essentially, yes, they're having to pay for that, but hopefully they're paying to get good council people, and hopefully they feel this council is a good council. You know, I like to think that the reason you and Erica didn't have anybody run against you is because citizens were very happy with the way things were going.
Exactly.
I haven't heard any different, so I'd rather believe that.
Yeah, that could be it. I'm doing a bang-up job.
So,
Also, with taking on the role of a committee and holding that committee responsible, and making sure minutes are taken and all of those things, that's,
It's a greater pull.
it is. And when, it's a little different from being retired versus, being a business owner, and parent, and, there's just not enough time in the day, so,
When you're retired, there's not enough time in the
Yeah.
day. I don't know
it
how
never
time to
changes,
work.
believe it or not.
well, that's unfortunate.
Somehow the roles flip and it's still the same.
I'll keep praying.
I'm not gonna put this on as a vote for the next meeting. I don't think we're ready for that quite yet, guys, unless you guys think we are.
I think we are. I say let's vote it.
There's a advertising requirement.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's advertise it.
You
Do
have
we-
to twice.
Do we have to have public hearings for an increase?
Yes, I think we do.
What we would be voting on is moving forward with the process of increasing it, right?
Well, there's no vote necessary to do that, but you can if you want to, but in order to pass it, there's a strict advertising requirement and you gotta vote on it twice.
I'd like for us to start that process next meeting.
Yeah, if we're not including extra stipends or other things involved, if the mileage, I keep trying to say per diem, it does not have to be part of that vote, I would say we're ready to go with it.
Does it have to be part of that vote?
Let me double check,
Okay.
but my answer right now is no.
Okay. Is everybody in favor of doing that?
I'm
moving
fine with
forward that?
proceeding forward
Okay.
to go to a vote, and we may all change our mind and vote no on it,
So
who
it
knows?
sounds like we would have at least 2 months to come up with the number that we want. If we have to do it at least 2 votes, that's 2 meetings, so that gives us plenty of time to come up with a number, I think.
Okay. Let's go ahead.
We wouldn't be able to actually, I'm trying to get this right in my head.
What's the advertising days? You probably looked at it more recently.
Remember, our next meeting is in 1 week.
Yes,
So it would have
it's
to
at
be
least, is it
July.
15 days or 30 days? 15 days.
Mhm.
And you gotta advertise both meetings and
Yeah.
da.
Let's get through the budget. Push it through. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a rush for it, just figure out the timing and whatever that would be,
There's no
and
rush as long as that second vote is done before qualification, which
Yeah.
would be in,
next August,
so.
Yeah.
August of 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's
Okay,
get through,
good.
let's get through budget and we'll put that on the
Yeah,
agenda.
but I think the farther away from that we can make it, the better it is.
So our
And,
next regular.
yeah,
meeting-
and I would say, put it out there very publicly that we're considering this, and we want input from the public.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's plan on it being on our first July meeting, or is that our first July meeting, is that a regular council meeting?
First July meeting is the
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And that will have to be advertised as a public hearing?
Yeah. Okay.
July 9th is the first council meeting.
We'll probably advertise both public hearings in that
Yeah.
advertisement, so we could save some money. Okay. All right, thank you all for your comments, and insight and thoughts on that. So we're gonna go on to new business and the conditional use on tax parcel WG 010256, ICO Mike's Tire Shop. Joe, you're just giving us an update, right?
update and steps forward. So this tax parcel and the conditional use attached to that. I went back and looked at minutes, and also the video from the voting on that parcel. And I did contact Jay and, just wanted to give everybody an update on that. So they are moved into their new home. And to my knowledge, and what was in that public meeting for the motions, was it expires, and that conditional use is attached to them only. So I don't think there's any worry of anyone going in there and doing the same job or doing the same conditional use because it was attached to them. And also, there's no more reason for that conditional use as they were moved out. However, I did reach out to Jay and to clarify the zoning, he still recommended that we go through the zoning process to clarify what the zoning is. And one of the conditional uses for them was the fact that they're in the downtown overlay. And that's what was required for them to do that business there.
And it's 2 pieces of land, Mike's Tire Shop and the property around it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
So
wait a minute, let me clear. When we say Mike's Tire Shop and the property around it, are we talking where they have been or where they are
Yeah,
currently?
Old Belois.
Where they go, yeah.
Old
Okay.
Belois.
All right, that's what I thought, I just want to make sure, because since they've moved, that's no longer Mike's Tires.
And to my knowledge in conversation and what was shown in this meeting is to revert back to what it was. And that was simply C1 with restrictions for the downtown overlay.
So what would be the process then? We have to do a whole public hearing for zoning?
Yes.
It would be the city advertising, the city being the applicant.
Okay.
And it's very similar to what we did granting that conditional use. Because the city, through our records, show that we're the ones that did the zoning action.
Right, we were
So
done,
it'd be almost the exact same process, just of course.
So if it was conditional use just for them, why isn't it automatically the same? Why do we have to go through the process?
My fear is that not anytime soon, but 20 years down the road, someone brings back up that you allowed a tire shop
Okay.
before it was grandfathered in. And so if you'll
So-
not want
so-
a tire shop there, you could clarify your downtown overlay, which I think was the bigger issue.
Yeah.
at the
Okay.
time.
So it's more of a
And it is
precautionary,
Cleaner to
Okay.
just, here's what it is going forward.
got it.
all right, I'm good with that.
I will say there was a hitch in the way it was done the first time. So I think it could have been accomplished with just a conditional use. There was also a variance attached, or a change of zoning, almost to remove the overlay.
Oh, okay.
Because it was prohibited in overlay is what I remember.
Yes.
And so we had to come up with a creative way to keep that business alive before they moved. So I think the cleaner way is to reversing those hoops we jumped through.
Okay.
So it will be to C1 and it's in the overlay.
Or
Okay.
removing the variance. So we had to reach out to- It wasn't perfect.
No, and I was trying to get to my email, but, that was the way it was done too, because the downtown overlay was and it's for, the request should be for the city to apply to go back and, remove it'd be like a change of conditions to remove the conditional use permit and any other applicable, relief granted.
Yeah.
So if you go through the hearing process and it goes back, then it would just go back to the straight C1 for your ordinance. And it would be, you would advertise it, I mean, you don't, the requirements when the city advertises are a little different than a private property owner. However, I would still advise to post a sign, do the notice in the paper like it's anything else, it's just the city as the applicant.
Yeah.
Just so there's no misunderstanding,
Exactly.
Very clear.
because I have that in my own community, and other communities I've served, just to say, this is what, and the people ask, this is what we're gonna do. So that, and the hearing would be just to collect why we're doing this. And if for some reason Fred's Tire Shop decides to show up into that, then y'all can, I don't see that as happening, because I know that property is more valuable for somebody else when they assemble it
Yeah.
for other things, but.
Yeah.
That would be my, I would concur with the opinion on approaching it that way.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
And, I mean, I think I mentioned this to Joe, but probably making contact with the property owner, if we already haven't, giving them a heads up, is probably a cordial thing to do before we start sticking signs on his property.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, the two
He
property.
should know it's coming because what I remember, he was involved in
Oh,
this process. so he knows
both
it's
property
coming
owners
back.
were involved, yes.
So, wow, that's a news, I mean, I'll say it's news, last time I came through town, they weren't quite in there, but they moved into the new,
Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
oh, yesterday, okay, yeah, I was through last week and it must have been, that's good, well, that's good for everybody, that was quite the challenge, yes.
Wasn't it? Yeah, another one.
Took quite
Woohoo.
longer than expected.
Yeah.
Yes, well,
But actually, they have come in just a little bit before their deadline, right? We had a
I think it's
deadline
July
of
1
like
or
a few
something.
days or
Yeah.
so.
right, because that would have been a whole separate set of things I would have had to undertaking, but
Yeah.
that's good.
And it's a nice little shop. They've done it exactly as they said they would do it. It's great. Happy to see it. Okay. Are we finished with that one? Any more comments, guys? No? Okay. Let's go on to budget review. And Joe, if you need to leave, please.
Thank you, I appreciate that very much. I just verify that the next council meeting is next Thursday, is it next Thursday? I have it on I just wanted to be sure.
Let's do it.
Yes, because I will be
Yeah.
down there as well. but
The
thank you.
4th, the June 4th.
Correct.
Yeah.
I will just say that Joe and I have a date to meet about sewer stuff here as soon as we can get through June. So,
Good.
But thank you all for,
Thank you. All right. Ready, Joe? Keep it moving. All right.
Hello, wonderful council. For the next 3 hours, you're gonna hear me.
Shay's over there, oh my gosh.
I've been through those before in budget meetings.
actually, can I go with you?
You sound like my pastor.
We're here to discuss the fiscal year 27 budget. We'll be presenting a balanced budget to you today. But before I do that, I wanted to talk about some of the highlights from the fiscal year 26 budget. We were able to incorporate a new website, acting as a window into our city from outside residents. Creation of a sanitation fund for the lowering of millage rate and less reliance on taxation. Additional 50,000 gallon capacity for sewer. A successful and joyous Christmas celebration that had reindeer,
Live right here.
and it was under budgeted amount. With that, funds that weren't spent, we do have remaining funds for the anticipated American 250 celebration, to be able to assist with that. We did exterior preservation and beautification of City Hall, that was much needed. Minor interior improvements for City Hall for practical purposes. Upgraded a code enforcement vehicle. Conducted repairs to the library heating system that hopefully won't be coming back next year when it gets really cold again. We now have an emergency notification system through Code Red to increase our capabilities to get the word out to our residents. We have a healthy fund balance to improve stormwater and transportation infrastructure through our SPOS funds, general fund, and other various funds. Deferred maintenance is caught up in public works for the equipment and the purchasing of equipment that they needed before. So now we can hit the ground running in the next budget cycle and able to lower some of those repair costs with that. And cleanup and compliance of blighted areas. Blighted is a very strong word here, but I didn't see a better word, but this budget allowed us to do that, to create more beautification through compliance as well. Those are my highlights for the 26 budget. Now we get into the Super Bowl of local government. Budget for the
You left out the
26-27 year.
ballpark lights. You left out the ballpark lights. That was a biggie for the community.
Technically, I think that was the previous year's budget.
It was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay,
But we will be talking about that.
okay.
Before we get started here, there's one line item that I wanted to add in here. but the mayor recommended me not to. I was gonna add in the expenditure for my jokes. She said, it doesn't cost the city anything, it just costs me my reputation.
None of
So-
you need to be subjected to this.
Budget jokes. So as we go through the budget book, we do have our transmittal letter, or about Walnut Grove. Talks about our government and how it operates. If anyone would like pictures changed before the final budget is approved, just let me know, and I'll put in different pictures if you want. Luckily, we are a small enough staff to put everybody on here. You don't see that anywhere. So that's pretty interesting. It gives a little educational piece of what these different funds are, how they operate, and that way if anyone wants to review this, there's a little bit in there to help out with that. Our budget overview, our fiscal year 27 combined budget with all funds is $4,791,349.65. There is a small change to that that was created last night, so that's actually going to go down a little bit from our general fund. So we'll be updating that as well. So our strategic goals and objectives for this budget is to reduce deferred maintenance on infrastructure such as streets, drainage, to minimize the impact on public and private property, reduce the reliance on contracted services by recruiting and retaining quality talent, uphold the high standards expected by residents by providing exceptional customer service, quality financial stewardship, and innovative thinking as challenges arise. Identify and manage operational cost centers supported by user fees. Identify areas of smart and strategic growth that reflect the wishes of the residents. And continue to professionalize the city services to meet the needs of residents as they change.
I love that buzzword, professionalize.
Personnel changes, 2 new positions are proposed inside of this budget, and that's a city marshal and a budget officer. The budget officer will also act as an accounting technician, so it's more than just setting a budget. Position changes on the other side, code enforcement will be dissolved. Our code enforcement officer has an intent to retire next month. So nobody's stealing our talent. We're sending them off to the sunset.
But going into a city marshal position is not because he's retired. That was, we have been talking about this for quite some time.
Okay. So now we get into the fun stuff. The budget. So we're going to start with expenditures first.
Thank you,
That
Jim.
way- That way we can address some of that. And the way I would like to do it is we're going to go through departmentally so people can see the changes inside the departments that reflect in the actual full budget. And I was just told that our printer did not pick up the color, so it's maybe a little harder to see than I anticipated.
It's a black and white.
So we'll look at the general budget first.
It sort of
And,
did.
This one right here.
To save some pain, I will not go line item by line item.
Thank you.
That would be 3 hours. But I will address questions that were asked. Though they were answered, I think it's good for the public to hear and for the council to hear. The very first thing, legislative committees, that is a new budget item. The intent of that is for our Hometown Heroes Committee that we approved a couple months ago. That way there's funds there for any operation that we may proceed. The amount there is as a starting point, as we decide if we want to grow it, to do more events. This is at least so we can acknowledge the first round of people as they come through. Office and administrative, 52.1100. This was already in our budget before, but this has increased. The reason for that is a lot of different things were going inside the zoning administrator line item, but our zoning administrator offers more than just zoning administration. So with the Universal Chart of Accounts, it shows that Office Administrative is more for a consultant of policy, and we do have a lot coming up that we've been talking about. So some of what Mr. Walter already does for us should be in that line item instead of zoning administration, what PPI does for us. But another thing that we've talked about is grants. Some of these grants require different plans, we just don't have the staffing to create, such as the TAP funding grant for sidewalks and alternative transportation. That would be out of this line item as well, to create the funds needed to create those plans, to apply for those grants. And as we go down, a lot of what's in the general government has stayed similar, or it's one-time fees for different things, such as People Keep has a one-time fee to administer, and then it goes into personnel for each person. But if we go down to community events, this had an increase of $5,000, which is 25%. Goal of that is for us to be able to do some more smaller events or grow some of the events we've already been doing. And then if we go down to electrical, there was one error in here that has already been changed in the primary budget. It still says 55,000 here, it's actually 40,000.
Okay.
The remainder is moved to the sewer fund, sewer operating, because it does take around, this past year, $19,000 to actually perform the electrical at the sewer plant. So this will account for a small amount of an increase, just in case electrical rates continue to increase, but it also splits that out to that sewer operating account. Furnitures and fixtures, I know this caught a lot of people by surprise. It's a drastic increase. But the point of this one is for a automated electric sign outside of City Hall. The goal with that is to increase our capabilities to put messages up there. It does a beautification process as well. Makes it look a little bit, to have the modern amenity mixed with the classical look of City Hall. What I like it for is the ability to do it remotely. So say we're all at home and we get a warning from Code Red, we can actually put that on that board to allow people to know something is happening. So it gives us increased capability.
Just being nosy, are we looking at a digital billboard, like the county has in front of
It
the
will
grove
not.
It won't be that big.
Think of it on a smaller scale.
Okay.
So it would still have the same technology to be able to see that
Images.
sunlight doesn't harm the ability to read it. And that's what a lot of that technology cost is battling the sun
Right.
and installation.
Would it be able to see images, or is it just gonna be for, words? Sorry.
It could do both.
Word
We can do both.
However, depending on timing,
Yeah.
it may affect us doing the images because we will still have to do our advertising for meetings.
No worries, yeah, gotcha, I just.
And it will be used explicitly for City of Walnut Grove advertising. It will not be taking outside events from anybody and posting it up there. It's for City of Walnut Grove.
Fantastic.
I like that idea.
Next question, is this a income opportunity?
So now we'll move on to
I
general
got a
government.
question. With that sign and with that money, does any of that $40,000 put a new sign out here at the park?
That'll be in a different spot.
Okay,
We will address that though.
okay, gotcha.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to general government council. This is the first time I think it was broken down into departments for the budget, so people may get a shock at how much city council costs. So we do have the salaries and wages there, Social Security. One thing that we did approve that you will not see here because it does involve the same hearings and compensation and elections is that retirement. We did approve retirement for council as well, but it cannot go into effect until then, so you won't see it in the budget now. Right now, and this may change with the conversation we just had, we did have the mayor's gas stipend in other employee benefits, and the way it was just explained, it's more of a reimbursement. So we'll figure out the correct line item to put that in, so that may change out of there. However, when we get to administration, to my knowledge, mine will stay there, because mine's a defined benefit for a contract. And we do have mileage reimbursement for DM meals, hotel and parking, training, education, and conference fees.
Okay, you said yours would not change because of your contract.
Right, mine's a defined benefit. So all of these below, a lot of it is availability for conference. There is a minimal amount there to cover those fees for anyone who wants to go. And a lot of what looks different is as we go through, you're gonna see a lot of the same things inside of departmental budgets. so it doesn't look as inflated as it usually does. A lot of what personnel will go to will not require hotels, because we're looking at places close by that we can commute to.
Right.
So that's a major cost in those, is hotels and parking, and that's not changed.
Also, can I add something there, Joe?
Absolutely.
When I look at this for council, and I know we have often talked about being able to go down to conference. And I know some people feel like everybody should have the opportunity, and others don't feel like everybody should be able to go every single time. This budget, the way it's set up, I don't believe that it's set up that everybody can go at one time. And if that's the case, that's okay. If we have to take turns, then we have to take turns. If we have to, if only 2 or 3 people want to go and the funds are there, then, and if we can afford it, then those folks can go. But we're gonna have to tighten our belts just like everybody else is. If we can't afford everybody to go at once, then we can't. And I know this year I went to the Small Cities Conference. I won't be going to the big conference. And I think there's a benefit to going to the big conference. I think there's a lot of great things that can come out of it. But if it can't happen every year, it just can't happen every year. We've got to make sure that we are being good stewards of the citizens' funds. Thanks, Joe.
So as we move on to administration, personnel included inside of administration is the city administrator, city clerk, and the deputy clerk. For regular employee salaries, there is an extra $1,500 in there. My intention with that is for anyone serving as a department head to have a minimal salary of $46,000. We only have one currently that is not at that, and that $1,500 will put that person at that $46,000 mark. Then as we go through,
Do we ask questions now or later?
you can ask them.
Well, I just wanted to clarify on the department heads. I mean, like, if we, are you talking about, like committee heads?
No, so
Okay, I wanna-
department head would be, there's different ways to define that, so that it's either they are the supervisor of the whole department, or they fill a position with critical functions. So right now, the department heads would be the city clerk. If we have a marshal, it'd be the marshal.
Okay.
If we have, the finance department would be the budget officer, if that gets approved.
Okay.
And the public works manager.
Okay.
So as we go through, you see retirement benefit for the first time here, and that is at that 5% level of salary that we discussed. And that was approved a couple months back. Gas reimbursement and other employee benefit, as we talked about. And then mileage reimbursement for the Inn and Meals, hotel and parking, dues and fees, training and education, and conference fees. A lot of those are kind of combined together, so if anyone decided to go to a training that's, say, 2 hours away, I would not expect them to drive back, so that's why hotel's there. We do have a lot of training and education that the city has not done so far for employees. We would like to get the city clerk certified as a certified municipal clerk. Every year, our municipal court clerk has to be certified for municipal court. And then other various professional trainings that could include HR, Carl Vinson Institute. A lot of these trainings are very valuable to the city. Conferences in here is the GCCMA conference, Small Cities Conference, and if there's another small conference around, but those are the 2 primary ones that is listed here. Employee uniforms in this line item, and what you're going to see with the exception of Public Works, is for a professional uniform look. If we go to a conference, I would like everyone to have a professional shirt with Bowling Grove on it. Okay. And then small equipment and computers, you're going to see a small equipment in various areas. I do know inside of the questions I did answer kind of the difference. So small equipment, there's 3 that are very similar, kind of loss of which 3, but one is for very complex items like machinery, and that would be for like lathes and things like that. Small equipment is usually for very mundane items. I know when the Universal Charter Council explains it as serving trays, coffee makers, things like that. And then the very last one would be other equipment. That is for more technology-based is what it looked like to me. So scanners, desk copiers, things of that nature. The computer listed here is for replacement at the front desk. That computer now has an inability to upgrade to the next Windows, so it's actually kind of falling behind. And I know some computers were replaced last year, but this is one of the few that was not. And it is definitely having some issues there. Any questions?
So, once we do that one, other than if we need for a new employee, we should be in pretty good shape for a little while with computers, correct?
After this budget, correct. So there's one more computer in here, and that's for the new positions, which one's getting repurposed to another person, but with the new positions, we will have to purchase one more full office suite of things.
Okay.
So now we move on to the finance department. This is a completely new department for the city. This came about because at the time, and to my knowledge, prior to myself, the mayor was doing a lot of the finances for this city, for previous decades. If not, the city clerk was responsible for it. And that also leads to a lot of cost in professional bookkeeping, a lot of cost with outside services, and the inability to correct things fast. And that's what I've noticed in the last, year that I've been here. The more control you have over it with personnel itself, the better it is to keep accountable, to make sure it happens, and to place it where we think it should be. And a lot of that's the accounting functions and the bookkeeping. But also this will increase our capability with forecasting, next year's budget cycle, and just doing those things that we've had to have outside services for so long. And this is not saying that our city clerk / finance officer / human resource officer has not been doing a great job. This is just saying that it's too much for one position to be able to handle it effectively. And the way I look at it is we can have a good job in 3 areas or an immaculate job in those 3 areas. So that includes the salary. The salary range that I had expected was $46.50 here. Their people keep benefit, and if you look down, the retirement benefit does seem low, but that's because they did not invest in it for 6 months. They have to get through their probationary period first before they can utilize their retirement benefit. This cuts our accounting and bookkeeping expectation in half compared to what it was last year and prior years. We may see a reduction in the accounting / auditor portion. There was a new bill passed by the state and signed by the governor that if the general fund is less than 2 million, then, or 2 million.
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 million. Then it's a reduced audit. So we still have to see what that looks like. The money still has to be there just in case the policy lags behind the bill, which often does. Because they'll have to establish new policies and procedures for the accounting companies.
Right.
So we may actually see a reduction in that this year, but we have to budget for it anyway. And then down below, you'll see a lot of things that is in the financial realm that is actually general government, think of it that way, such as bank charges. Bank charges usually includes analysis fees from the bank to transfer it over to our software. For training and education, finance has a lot of training in general for public finance officers. The goal here would be to get the ball rolling to have a certified Georgia finance officer. So that's where this will start, and that increases our capabilities wildly to have that knowledge in-house.
Where are we gonna put this person at?
Right now, the plan is, right when you walk into City Hall, there'll be an available desk, the second desk where the wind used to be.
Okay.
And we do have a third workstation where temporarily, as we get into the city marshal portion, temporarily they'll be there. But the goal would be, as we work on renovations for the Public Works building, to create the office in there as well.
For the marshal.
Because there's some requirements for a marshal, depending on what they need for their software and ability to have ingress, egress in a certain way that we cannot do at City Hall.
And I want to bring something up. We still have one room on the second floor of Public Works that's not even being utilized, that could be utilized as an office. And I have offered to go out of mine into that room.
Not at Public
Create-
Works, City Hall.
In City Hall, been free.
Okay.
There's
There's an upstairs
there's-
for Public Works.
there is still plenty of room at City Hall for growth. Lynn has her own office right now, but that can also be split. Sorry, Lynn, not in the near future. Mine can be split for 2 spots. There's plenty of room for expansion. We don't need to consider a new City Hall anytime soon. We have plenty of room for everybody.
The administrator's office is full.
It's full.
Yeah, cause I moved my desk in there. Just kidding.
Okay.
So now we'll move on to legal. First thing you see on there is annual city ordinance updates. That's a supplement provided by Unicode that we utilize. So every year they'll take all what we have passed and do an update to those and then send the paper copies back to us so we can update our books. Below that, you'll see city attorney fees. I plan on cutting it in half
Jay said,
and then Jay raised his raise. When you cut it in half, you're still gonna pay the same.
Still worth it. Okay.
Library, so we have our required 70,000 here for every year. But I also added facility and grounds maintenance, because every year from historical budget, there is a portion that was paid out to support the library facility that we own, and I wanted to reflect that in their budget to show that that's where this is going. So we know for a fact that we need to start thinking about other facilities and not just as one whole. Down below, you'll see the debt services. This retires in this budget cycle, so this will no longer.
what's the due for that, do you know?
It is,
It's like 10 months.
yeah, it's, I think just over 10, like there's like a
Yeah.
half payment in May.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will finally be the proud owner of our library facility. So y'all know my theory on mortgages, right? The bank owns it, we just get to put our pants there.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing too about the library and that expenses of 3,000. Even though it's our building, when we want to make a repair to it, we have to contact the library administration, make sure that they realize this is something that needs to happen. They have to approve the repair along with us. The bill is presented to Azalea Library, they pay it, and then invoice us for half of that bill. We will pay half, they pay half, but we can't do anything unless we get it approved if we want them to help us pay.
I was curious
Because
about that.
they get grants and they can give the money.
So we
that
can,
way.
we can jump in and do it, but then
We
it's
can
our
do-
cost.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
One more note on that, I did find out that grant does not support grounds.
It is not what?
It supports grounds.
Oh.
Ground
So,
maintenance.
for instance, the tree,
Mhm.
the grant does not cover removal of things like that. So that's something to think about in the future too, if there's any grounds issues.
Is there, so like on this line item, it says facility and grounds maintenance, non-employee services. Is there any other area that we maintain besides the library that would be considered?
Yes, and we'll see that that's gonna be a redundant, part of this budget. So for instance, if we spring a leak in City Hall and get a plumber out there, that would go in the City Hall item.
So
But in
is there a
different-
way to show the difference of where this is only the library maintenance?
Yeah,
It's broken down by
library, this is just for library.
Okay, so 52.2250 is just library.
It's just for, well,
So-
Well,
kind of the way it works is you have your, I call it one sheet budget. So that's the compilation of all of them. And then those same line items, so 522250, you're gonna see in that one. You're also gonna see it when we go down to Public Works Department, there's gonna be the same line item number. It's just how much is budgeted for their department, so.
Okay,
you remember that great big sheet you used to get?
Mhm.
Okay, that's where you would see it split out.
okay.
But it would be all the departments on that big long sheet.
I want to show you something. This is the budget, proposed budget for the general fund.
Mhm.
If you look down here at 522250, facility and grounds maintenance, non-employee, the total amount
Is
budgeted
way over.
is way more because it's all the
All of
departments
it.
together.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So our next department is another new department, which is the marshal department. You're gonna see for GMA retirement benefit, that's half again. Employee salary is the same as finance, 46 to 50 is the goal. One thing I'd like to point out is office software for iWork, for the code enforcement side of what the marshal does, has no cost to us. Our iWork software, by paying for the maintenance aspect, and the planning and zoning, we do get code enforcement for free. And so there's no cost for the software there. Training and education, one thing we'll be required to do if we decide to approve a marshal, is they will have to go to Chief Peace Officer Academy, or however that name falls, because they will be the head of an agency at that point. So they are required to be a chief certified personnel. Down here below, we have employee uniforms, and we can also change this one to rental if we would like to. However, I will add the caveat that a police uniform, similar, may have more cost just to the customization aspect of it. Most of these rental companies do 11 uniforms by cycling the week, and then if one rips, so that means we'd be essentially paying for customization of 11 uniforms. Whereas Public Works Department is a little bit similar, because we can also customize the reflective vest instead of the uniform for that person. So as we go down a little bit more, gas is separated out for the marshal than it is for Public Works to show what is being consumed there. Debt service here is for the code enforcement truck, which the intent is to re-outfit it for the marshal. So that would involve putting a cage in the back, a single person cage, and any necessary equipment in the front, such as a printer for the iWork software. What I want to distinguish for a marshal is they are not a police officer. And this is for council as well as for any public that is curious. It just gives us an increased capability for public safety. They will be able to run tags. They are able to make stops if a driver is being reckless or anything like that. But 90% of their job is still code enforcement. It just gives us that 10% extra for increased safety if needed.
Are they able to issue civil and criminal tickets?
There. The intent is to, once we hire someone, if this is approved, they'll do a crosswalk with at least 2 other cities that have marshals. We're already working with Aquila to allow that to happen so they can see the difference, because most likely what it will be is someone retiring from sheriff's department or police department taking this position. And there is a learning curve between the 2 positions. We would never expect this person to go serve warrants. We're not expecting this person to sit on the highway and do traffic stops for everybody. So just think of the code enforcement officer with increased capabilities. We have an abandoned vehicle, they can do it right then instead of waiting 9 hours. It just gives us more enforcement.
They don't have the ability to arrest someone,
They
correct?
do have.
They do. Okay.
They don't
So would
transport
we
that.
need,
They don't,
Or do
they
they?
transport it to Walton County Jail.
Oh, okay.
so would we have to have an IGA created to transport somebody to the county
It's
jail?
probably already covered in our IGA because we don't have police officers now. I
Okay.
would sort of suspect in most cases, the marshal is a policy, if they did have a reason to arrest someone, would probably call the sheriff's office to come and handle that.
Okay.
But
Joe, have you spoken with the sheriff's department or a representative from the sheriff's department about creating this marshal position?
Absolutely. I would say probably 5 or 6 months into my tenure here, we had the ability to talk to the sheriff about it. That was a shorter conversation, part of a larger conversation. He seemed very supportive of this idea. And then on top of it, I had a meeting recently, also a larger conversation, that I decided to throw this in there to see some practical application of it with Colonel
With
that.
Wiznance. He seemed very supportive of the idea and offered to help in any way they can. The only thing that they would not do that I tried was see if they would be our agency head. There's too much liability there, so that was but anything else, they've offered their support to include training. If there's a piece of equipment that we just cannot find a way to get, they will help us out with that. I'm not saying that they're making a blanket promise to fund our marshal or anything, but they have offered assistance.
Thanks.
Just a question I don't know the answer to. If the sheriff's department, for instance, they get a call for something that would fall within their spectrum, can they then call our marshal and say, hey, we don't have a guy over there, can you handle it?
Depending. So, and I know there's a lot of things worked out, and this is why I want to do a crosswalk.
Okay.
We'll also have a policy conversation with some of these other cities. Usually, say it's a criminal investigative matter, that will not be the marshal at all.
Right, right.
And a lot of it's defined by the scope that we make it. And I would say if they need support, then that is common, because I know, for instance, our code enforcement officer was a city marshal for 8 years, I believe, in Kilo. And he said very rarely the sheriff's department would ask for assistance. Usually that's blocking the road or something like that. They never put them as the point person in a dangerous situation.
Right. Yeah, no, I was thinking more things that were simple.
Right.
That-
Car crashes, things like that, they sometimes would ask for help within a city's boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we'll go to municipal court. And one thing you'll notice when we get back to the expenditures, and this was a question inside of our big question sheet, is why certain things weren't there. And those are fiduciary funds. So it's kind of hard to map out what those are going to cost with percentages. And they're not required to be in your general fund, but I did place them back
I saw that.
into it, just to reflect better. I think it's a lot easier to show it than it is to say, well, they're there, you just don't see it.
These fiduciary funds are funds like the Sheriff's Retirement Fund, Victims Assistance Fund, those type of things, which are a set percentage of the citation fee, is that correct?
That's correct.
That we get a report at the end of each month after municipal court, and those reports are already created and sent to Sonia, and we are required to pay a portion of whatever the citation fee was. So that's what Joe's talking about with those type of funds, in case you were not aware of that.
Yeah, but that does mean if you put it back in the budget, then we're also reflecting the income for the citations.
Yeah.
And then that was the whole purpose. I wanted it to be more transparent, and it just makes it less complicated. So for municipal court, many of the fees here have not changed. Court software is the same, our contract's still the same. The court interpreter, that's a new line item placed there. They are professional service, and on average, I think we use them every other month is when we have the interpreter.
That's what we set it up as, to save money.
And a couple months ago, we did ask the judge and the solicitor if we expect any changes in how much their charges were, and there was none reflected, so that would be the same as well. One line item here, training and education. Our judge goes to a training every year that we pay for our portion compared to other cities that they represent. I did ask about that, and they showed that other cities are paying a portion of this training. So that's for our judge for their annual training.
Has there ever been any thought, Joe? I'm sorry I didn't bring this up ahead of time. Has there been any thought to put our municipal court clerk's portion of her salary in municipal court and out of administrative?
Yes, I did consider that when
Okay.
creating this, and this kind of goes back to an outlier that I spoke about in some of our conversations. We had a reduction in fines and fees this year that, so we were consistently hitting in the 50,000, 40,000 mark every year, and then this year it dropped to the high 20s. And I think a lot of that could be a reflection of it's just an outlier. But it could also be a reflection of things got cleaned up and we're not getting repeat offenders of things. It could be just odd situations where it may seem bad to us that they should get a certain fine, but in reality it was something else and the judge was a little lenient on it. I'm not a judge myself, so I don't try to say that anyone's doing something they shouldn't. But it could be the new normal. We could be lower than we usually are. Especially, we can see that as a good thing too. You know, properties are looking better, people are cutting their grass. So we could actually just be seeing a reduction in that.
Okay.
So as we go over the planning and zoning department, we have our engineering contracted services. Our zoning administrator, you'll notice there's a reduction there, and as I said before, that's being reflected in the office administrator. Inspections, so these have to be net neutral, so it has to reflect what we expect for revenue of inspections. Anything to do with building a house, we have to essentially show that all that money is net neutral. We cannot make a profit off of it. That's our building permits, LDPs, anything like that. So that's also reflected here with our zoning administrator. The portion of their cost is part of our permitting cost. And there will have to be a little bit of adjustment to meet our mark here, to be able to cover the city's cost of these third-party services inside of our fee schedule as well. And that's something, after we approve the budget, that we'll be doing next, is talking about our fee schedule. And then at the very bottom of this, you'll see a new one for Planning and Zoning Committee. I think our Planning and Zoning Committee is great. We do have a new member now, so we have 4 of the 5 seats filled. I would love to be able to get them a formal training. UGA Carl Vinson Institute offers a planning and zoning training for planning and zoning committees. This is the total cost. It would be $1,400 for a full board if we have 5. Here they learn about land use, some of the Georgia laws itself, procedural compliance, advertising, things that can greatly assist city staff from the Planning and Zoning Committee. And it also gives us a more informed committee when they give recommendations to council. And this was one of the questions I was asked by 2 people considering Planning and Zoning Committee. Is there any formal training? I think a lot of people feel a little daunted when they see what they would have to do. They feel like we're just going to throw them to the wolves. I think that may have happened in the past. People had to learn it on their own.
Mostly.
So we are working, or I'm working on right now, developing an actual, monthly training that they can either do at home, or we have a meeting that we talk about these things. But I would love for them to have a formal 6-hour training with Carl Vinson Institute.
That's great.
And as we move on, Public Works. So we're going to see some new line items here, and a lot of it is the same things we've been spending on. However, they're just broken out into different spots. So we have traffic engineering at the top. That encompasses things like, in our purposes, it's signs. So that way we can afford to replace some of our degraded signs throughout the city. It also includes striping and painting, anything that would influence a driver on the road. So that's traffic engineering. Stormwater, it could be a little confusing. There's a stormwater here and there's stormwater engineering. So stormwater here is for the practical costs of stormwater. There's areas in the city that we can fix ourselves with city staff, especially down Park Street. There's some areas that just need a lot of that silt that's been sitting there and the grass growing on top, that the gravity is just not working well anymore. Or inside of driveways with permission to open up some of those again to allow flow through again. And that would require renting equipment, things like that, just so we can get that job done. And that's what that stormwater line item is. As we go down, you see stormwater engineering. This is for our contracted service. So when we have soil and erosion inspections, when we have post-rain events, MS4 preparation, that's what this is budgeted for. My goal is for us not to spend that much necessarily. I hope to start bringing some of this in-house with our current staff. I would like to send and this goes down to training, I would like to have the capability of Georgia soil and erosion in-house. That way we're not paying someone 3 hours away to come every post-rain event and paying for that travel time. We'll have someone here after a rain event can go look and see if there's an issue. We would still have to have that line item budgeted because we would need assistance with the MS4 report. And on top of that, we want to stay neutral with complaints. So when we have a complaint, I would much rather not have a city staff person go and investigate and have that third party available to go see what's going on and give recommendations. Got a lot quieter when that got cut off.
Right.
You'll also see down here lawn care. This is a contingency. Last year we were put in a spot where we had one public works employee. We had to get a service in to help us maintain our lawns while we hired out. This could also work a different way without people leaving, is say someone's on FMLA and somebody gets injured. Those could be 2 weeks long to months long events that we need assistance with. So that's in there for a contingency with a small staff, something we have to plan for if it happens again. Repairs and maintenance, non-employee services. So you see a reduction here, and that's because it's been dispersed a little bit. Vehicle maintenance, there's also a reduction here because we do intend to purchase a new public works vehicle, and we'll get into that in a little while. Repairs and maintenance, streets, roads, bridges. We have to reflect the state grants of LMIG and LRA into our budget. We could break this off into a separate fund if we want to. I don't see the need for it, it's not required, so we're just gonna reflect it in our general fund. So whatever we bring in revenue for this portion, which is expected to be around 45,000 for our current streets, and maybe even more as we add, especially the enclave when we get those roads added in, that'll be reflected here. As we go down, we briefly talked about training, but also the safety training. I would like everyone to attend that, not just because we can get a grant for it, but safety is also an investment. If someone does not cut their leg off, that's the best case scenario.
Yes.
And as we go down, facility and ground supplies, there's a reduction here because some of that is now going to be reflected in the sewer operating account. We did have it all going here for anything dealing with the sewer, but it needs to be reflected there for what is being paid for the sewer. Employee uniforms and other supplies, uniform rental, you'll notice that both of them are utilized here. Employee uniforms is for boots. There is a budget for them to be able to get their safety protective boots. I don't expect, as long as we keep the same staff and not have some turnover, this should more than well cover it. This past year, we had some turnover, so that increased that boot allowance. And then as you look below, other supplies, uniform rental, this is a hard one to gauge right now, as we have to get a quote first. But I do expect it'll be around that $1,000 or less mark. And we'll get that taken care of shortly. See what that looks like. Gasoline, there was a small, I looked at yearly trends of how much gas cost in Georgia. I know we had an anomaly of a year this year, but keeping on those trend lines, I did a percentage of each and put a small increase in how much gas would cost for these various equipment. Vehicles, you'll notice $33,500 there. Vehicles are split into 2 different spots. We had it on a referendum for a 2025 SPLOST to be able to purchase vehicles or heavy equipment. So part of that is being covered in SPLOST and part of that is being covered in the general fund. This includes the new public works vehicle, and there has been conversations for months to have a utility vehicle for various things such as at the sewer plant, trash cleanup, especially for spraying, to have a small tank put on the back of it so we can spray for weeds. It drastically cuts staff time and they can go on to do other things. And then for when we have events, so that way we don't have to bring out a big truck every time to move people back and forth. So those 2 would be covered between general fund and SPLOST. Then at the very bottom we have sports facilities. 2 main considerations here. One is the baseball field. It has gone above and beyond for revenue, and a lot of that has to do with lights. And that was a great foresight on council. I'll give you your flowers when they're due. That was great planning by you guys, and it has drastically increased the culture of recreational revenues. However, to keep those revenues where they are, or even increase them, we're gonna have to put some money in to get the proper soil for the ball field. And it's not just field dirt, it's specific pH balances and things like that. We're gonna have to fill some holes in the outfield, and we're gonna have to get a new drag. So that drag is what keeps that dirt there after rains and things like that. Right now, there's no grass in the infield. I don't think we want to invest to put that there. That's a big investment. But without that drag, it's just going to wash it back. And then on top of all that, our basketball goals. The last basketball goals that were put in were for recreational use. So brackets on the back were too weak for people jumping and hanging on them, which is very expected in a park setting. So we are going to have to invest in getting proper goals put in place that can withstand that. So that's what's here is for those. And then for future, especially the court, for the grading and things like that, that's going to take some real planning. So that's not in this year's budget. That's going to be a costly sum that we're just going to have to plan out for the future on.
Can I bring up something about the ball field?
Absolutely.
There's also a hole back behind home plate where the ball can go under the fence.
We can repair that ourselves.
I figured, so.
I will make a note of that. And as we move on, is there any questions?
We need to take a small break for council to use the facilities, or just a small break. It won't be very long.
That's good.
Do we need to turn off just leave that going, the video going? Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, guys, and reconvene at 11:35, okay? Please.
I'm just gonna stretch.
Good.
Trying to bleed to death.
You doing okay? You okay?
Yeah, he just won't stop bleeding.
Oh.
See if I got a Band-Aid in here. by
Thank you.
chance.
Walk.
We keep it on it, it's a secret.
Yeah.
You get 25K?
Yeah.
What? That's awesome. I'm gonna stand up that air conditioning's freezing.
That is cold.
Y'all need me to bump it up?
A
It was-
little.
It was 82 degrees in here when I got here.
Ooh, yeah, that's a little warm.
Look and see if we got scotch tape.
I don't think so. I think there may be
See if
some in that office.
Rubber band, I could create a tourniquet here.
What's that? You got a good one?
That was really rude, wasn't it?
Max.
Just sticks.
Do you want me to go out and find you, go get it?
No.
Okay.
I just need something.
I have a full first aid kit, you know.
I don't know where this was.
It was in that office, but just sit it right there, I'll put it back.
Oh, make a Band-Aid.
How'd you get yourself?
I didn't, my cat did.
Oh.
And I hid it a while ago. I didn't even think about it. So I'll create a Band-Aid. I didn't want to get it on my shirt or something. It was just, I kept pressing. Move.
Talk them out.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, in here.
Yeah, I think she turned it on.
Have to get some treadmills out there, then everybody can work out. Some stair steppers.
I used to have,
Some of
when I
those
was younger, I had
bicycle
like a
things.
straight back chair at home, and I would just like step up, step down.
Oh, yeah. Another big
But I'm
one
not
is,
that agile anymore.
Did you hear my suggestion?
What was that?
We need to get some of those like little, stair stepper things at the bottom, you know, where you just press it as you sit down.
There you
Oh, we
go.
can all exercise while we're talking.
Yeah. Along with those chair lifts for the stairs in City Hall.
You know, that staircase is so narrow, I don't think it'd fit. It reminds me of my house in New York. It was built in 1900. So the upstairs was the attic. It was converted probably in the 60s or 70s. But the staircase was so steep. I don't know how the VA approved it. Because usually they'll measure like the angle of the stairs. And if it's too steep, they'll deny the mortgage. They'll tell you can't buy this house.
Well, there's a bed and breakfast in Tybee Island. It's called the Tybee Inn. And upstairs, the stairs are like this wide, where you go up.
I would assume there's probably
And I'm
some.
like, I ain't going up there. We stay on the bottom floor.
This past weekend, so last GMA, I won one of the auctions for one night
So
stay
you
at
don't get
Plains
caught
Inn
up.
in Plains.
Mhm.
And I recommend everyone who loves history go there. Which I've been to Plains before.
I've been there.
I got to stay at the Plains Inn, and
Mhm.
so you go up, and we stayed in the 1950s room. And everything in there is, 50s.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's just beautiful. And it's really cool to be able to stay there.
Yeah.
Obviously, whenever they open up Jimmy Carter's house, we'll go back down. We'll stay in the 30s room that day.
Mhm. I think they've opened it, haven't
Not yet.
Not yet?
It takes around 2 to 5 years.
they? Okay.
Because they'll have to make it compliant for ADA, and then they'll have
Yeah.
to, which granted, at their age, I would assume a lot of things are compliant by the time they pass away. But they also have to, collect things that are probably in various places
Oh,
for
yeah.
the museum.
Mhm.
Figure out how they're gonna distribute things between Atlanta and there. But I love it there. I love going down there. And then we stopped at, Andersonville. It was a perfect day to do it. It was Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We stopped at Andersonville. It was hot.
Joe, this is really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
It
Love,
would have been better with a power.
It's okay.
I love the department breakdown.
Love it. I love the whole thing. How you set it up. Oh, it's great. Okay, we're just waiting on Erica.
Oh, I lied.
Now, we'll say our actuals are more reflective of what they are. We had a lot of help from CKH. Lynn and Sonia's just, and I'll say this, whenever we come back to, just I have harassed them to get this stuff fixed, and they have been doing it.
It's great. I've got two for her.
Like, every time I step in Lynn's office now, she throws like.
To the point where it's like anything, she'll just go away.
And, yeah, I'll explain. There was a lot to it. There was a lot to it. Lots of discoveries.
Yes.
And I can explain why. That's the most important thing. Knowing why it was happening.
You know, knowing why so that it gets fixed is, you know.
Yeah. Well, we know
Other than
why,
that, knowing why doesn't matter.
we know why, so we, can ignore it next year. That's a joke.
I hear you.
See what I'm saying, why you're glad we kept it off the budget?
We're all gonna pay for my jokes.
You know, the newspaper guy's listening to us, so you be careful what you say.
He told me he was gonna, I told him, you gotta give me a good ride. This is the Super Bowl for me.
Did you tell him that?
Yeah, I did.
Just a one-time shot.
No, it's at least a 5-year shot, please.
Well, I explained to Lynn, if this goes wrong, then she's the city manager. I was like, that's how this works.
Okay, everybody, we are back from break. And Lynn, are we recording? No? Okay, great. Okay, thank you for your patience, guys. All right, Joe, let's go ahead and resume.
So was there any questions on public works? Now we're gonna get into the other funds. So the first one we have here is the 2019 SPLOST Fund. As you can see, our current budget there, this is what we currently have in that fund, and this fund is closed for new acceptance, so this is what's there. As we go down, the functions and how it's separated is a direct result of obviously the referendum gives us what we can use it for, but there is an agreement that happens with the county for the breakdown. So using that agreement and what we said we were going to use it for, which is quite wrong, is how we get the budgeted numbers. So for this, we have capital outlay and transportation infrastructure for $600,000 and sewer system improvements for $347,955.62. This fund is going to get us across the finish line to finish our sewer improvement project. And now we'll go over to the 2025 SPLOST fund. So inside of here, this fund has been accumulating interest as well, so we have to show that. As we go down, this is how it was broken out, and the percentage and or what's available currently in 2019 SPLOST is how it's broken out here. Since we have capital outlay for transportation infrastructure covered for at least the year or coming years, that'll be out of the 2019 SPLOST until we build up more for the 2025 to start creating funds there. So as you look through, we have building upgrades, and that's for our public works building, and that'll be $63,500. Sewer expansion and infrastructure, we have $112,368.84. The plan immediately for that, as it was in our referendum, we intended to use it for this improvement. So we took out the chief loan to do the improvement. But as it goes along, and I spoke with Jay, as long as, and it was in the referendum, we can use that for our debt service. And that's what will get us through as we increase customer base. But this is what's going to allow us to maintain and pay on that until we increase that customer base. Capital outlay for stormwater, we put $75,000 here, and that's going to be as we pave things. We want to go ahead and one shot get the stormwater improved as we pave. Any repairs needed, any upgrades that are going to be required. Our stormwater system is aging. As you can tell by some of the pipes in place that were meant for 30 years that have probably been there for 50 or 60 years. So some of those are going to have to be replaced in the very near future as we pave. Vehicles and major equipment. This portion is all of this goes to that public works truck. and that is to replace the Little Ranger that we currently have there. The intent of that truck is not just to replace the Ranger itself, but replace capabilities. So say we have something happen to the larger panel truck, we are going to be able to use this truck for a very temporary basis to pull a trailer with at least one lawnmower on it without creating damage. Right now, if we tried that with the Little Ranger, I don't even know if it'd probably just get stuck there. And as we go down, we have capital outlay for recreational facilities and equipment, $32,039. That is the maximum amount that was put in the referendum, or in the agreement from the referendum. So this is what we have available right now to do park improvement projects. And we can discuss that further. So I have a capital improvement plan here, and that is not a budgeting item, more of a, as it's in the name, a plan. Plans can change. So the goal with this amount, I know for a fact we want to correct the road where there's been a root go through and pull up that piece of road. We want a new sign there. We definitely want just minor things fixed to where we can all enjoy our park. And then as we go through, we'll make more plans for different upgrades to playground areas, ball fields, courts. Okay. And the next one, we have our sewer fund, 505. So in here, there's a lot that can change in the very near future. So this is a reflection of what we have now. Through our budget cycle, we do not have enough time to increase fees. And as we increase those, we'll get a better idea of what that looks like. So we have tap fees here for $12,000. This is an acknowledgement that we have projects ongoing right now. This is a very minimal amount, just in case those projects do hit more hurdles. Sewer charges, this is an expectation of our current customers, what we can forecast at $96,000. As we go under here, wastewater administration at $24,000, that is our cost for Lakeview. If there's any increase on that, he does have where he will give us ample notice, and he's very flexible to work with us if it's not in our operating budget, to at least be able to plan. Sanitary sewer maintenance at $5,000. This is about what it cost this past year for just maintenance. And then $5,000 at the lift station. Every year we should be doing maintenance. That was one thing I noticed when I first came in was some of the maintenance was deferred for good reason. There was no customers online in prior years. Some of that maintenance would have helped, but it was just a cost choice. Do we do this maintenance not serving anybody? But now that we have customers, it is a vital system we will have to maintain yearly. As we go here, we have electric at $19,000, and that's what's reflected from our other expenditures in our general fund. And our debt servicing here is for GFA loan number 1 for the first phase. And GFA loan number 2, as I said, would be reflected in the 2025 SPOS for the debt servicing. Now we go to the sewer expansion fund. The fund number is definitely subject to change, depending on rules by state law. So we may have to change the fund number, but the contents of it will be the same. So we have our GFA loan, what's remaining and what's not going to be out of other accounts. And the fund balance assigned already into this account. The GFA loan also includes the 10% top-up that we're eligible for and most likely will execute to be able to maintain and get this completed. The sewer expansion fund expenditures, we have the sewer treatment plant of what's left, $2,559,041.58. The second line item there, property architectural engineering services, that's PPI for doing their work and what's left to be done. Next, we have our sewer fund, or sanitation fund, 540. Refuse collection charges at $156,000. Sanitation franchise fee at $4,000. Sanitation franchise fee is likely to go up because of commercial costs. Right now, we don't have that figure to be able to see what it's gonna be. That's likely to go up. Down below, we do have public education at $1,000. Disposal, $124,800. Utility billing software at $6,400, and postage at $1,500, creating a surplus.
Mayor.
So enterprise funds do not have to balance. The purpose of the enterprise fund is to run like a business. What these funds do traditionally, our sanitation fund is a little different than some. We don't have equipment that we're purchasing involved. However, this fund can assist us in various ways. So by having the surplus, we can dedicate it either to a local resource fund for various capital improvement projects. Say we wanted to start building a surplus for the park, or if we want to do a veterans memorial or something like that, we can utilize the surplus into a local revenue fund, and that would be its own dedicated fund. There is a mechanism to bring it back to the general fund to supplement if we would like to. There is I had a name for it yesterday, because I told you about it. I've seen other cities utilize this for related services that say not directly the government, but DDA is an example here. You could use this to fund a DDA director and create that position if we wanted that multiple. So there's a lot of options that don't have to be figured out today for the budget, but there's a lot of things you can do with surplus from the enterprise fund.
Okay, because really, like, the administration of some of this is kind of in our general fund budget
Right.
now. It's not over here. So it's not like we're making that much profit in one sense, because we are
Right.
having to pay out more than that.
There's ways to create estimates of that. And for instance, anyone utilizing the utility billing software, you can do a percentage of that time. That is very difficult to track for our purposes, just because it does fluctuate with the way we do billing. For administrative burden, it's easier to keep that part of the general fund. However, if we do decide to supplement back to the general or put it in here, we will have to have a tracking mechanism, or at least a rational percentage explaining how much time personnel are spending on this.
Right.
Would we be able to use any surplus for our recycling in the city gate?
Absolutely, and that will be a line item itself. Right now, I think I do have that in the general fund.
Yeah.
And where that's being reflected is also state grants.
Yeah.
So I did boost state grants a little bit, because we have LMIG safety grant, and then we plan on doing the tire reimbursement grant. And so there's different ways to do that, it's just a different mechanism. Well, all in all, I just wanted to point out that this does not have to be balanced. The purpose and intent of it is not to hold it into an account just to say we made money. It's to offer various services to citizens off of a user fee.
Right.
That way we can increase capabilities of the city to reflect, an increase of service to our citizens. And the very last thing we have for expenditures is our capital improvement plan. As I said, this is a planning document. I fully expect it to change as council notices things, as we have more conversations. Unlike many cities, I did 4 years. Right now, we do not have the forecast capability that some cities have to go in and do data entry and see what prices are going to look like. And so I kept it at 4 years, where we might see a lower change of prices, because around that 5-year mark is when you start seeing vastly different pricing and things. Inside of here, we have our whole document of resurfacing and repaving. That is a very big plan here. That's going to take a lot of administrative work to make sure it gets done, but we do have the funds in SPLOST to get it done. If we can get it done faster, that's fine as well, because most of this is coming from the 2019 SPLOST. However, when we get into utilizing the 321 SPLOST fund, or using two different numbers there, 2025 SPLOST fund, we will have to allow that to grow before we can utilize that. And if there is a difference of opinion of where we should pay first or what we should do, we can definitely have that conversation. This does not have to be approved as the budget does. But as we go through here, you also have the public works truck is on here, the monument sign that we talked about at City Hall, the expansion, ball field improvements, the utility train vehicle, public works building improvements, stormwater infrastructure, and city park recreational projects. So this is just a planning document, and I would love input in the future as we decide to accomplish things.
I'm gonna give you a little input now on this one.
Oh, no.
Thompson Lane, I would like to see done this year. It has been neglected and it is in desperate need, and almost more so than Industrial Parkway. Just a thought.
Sounds good. Certain things we are in a way restricted by. Anything we put on our LMIG and LRA needs to be done first. So Park Street was on that, and a lot of the areas shooting off of Park Street,
Yeah.
Church Way, Green Hill Way.
Okay,
this thing.
got it.
Now we get to go to revenue. And then lucky for council, our attorney, the city clerk, lots of sign-ups. So as as we created the budget, I'm gonna present it the same way. We're gonna come to property taxes last. That way I can yell at it later, not now.
That's how it's supposed to be
Yes.
done.
That's exactly the way Should
So
be
the only thing
done.
I'm gonna be highlighting here is big changes or why things didn't change. I do suspect that revenues will be a source of debate, so I'm trying to be brief. So franchise tax, electric, I have a conservative estimate, I put it at 86,000. There's a lot of work being done by the Public Service Commission right now, a lot of debate happening, and there's a chance that there could be electrical subsidies, and that's not taxable the same way. So what people pay may be less because of those subsidies, so we might want to be mindful of if we increase that. As we go down, local option sales and use tax. I based this off of what the county expected. They only expected a little over a 1% increase. Whether that was a accurate assessment or not is not really for me to debate. But I split the difference from what we're getting this year and what we got budgeted versus what we're getting. We kind of split the difference there just so we don't overly rely on SPLOST that we may not get. Lost.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think
No
Central
problem.
Circle did almost identical for what it's worth. They may have just kept it at whatever they got last year. Yeah, they didn't put too much faith in a big increase because the county didn't. So.
Yeah, we're actually on increase, we're actually on target for this year to be at what, about 315?
We're bringing in, as you said, around 26,000 a month.
Yeah, so that to me looks, like a nice conservative area.
And then as we go down, alcohol licenses, beer and wine, that's a direct result of our fee schedule for who we have in the city currently that utilizes that. As I've mentioned before, we've been working on correcting line items in our accounts, and this is kind of where I'll address it. Inside of our software, some of the things mapping in the back when we put in a revenue is diverting it to an incorrect line item. And it's not the staff doing that. What we've realized is the line item will say, for instance, LMIG state grant, and then that'll shoot it over to federal grants. So that's what's making our reports look a little odd sometimes. Right now, our goal is just to make sure it's fixed, especially before going into audit season and before we close anything out. But we've gotten most of it fixed to this point. We have a couple miscellaneous areas that still have funds in them that shouldn't. So that current actuals are very close to what they are, but there are some asterisks there of minor funds that need to be changed. We're doing a permanent fix of that. We're going through every vendor, every line item, making sure it's routed to the correct spot. That way we don't have to go through what we did this year and I'm sure last year, trying to fix everything and make sure everything looks correct. But I mentioned that here because business licensing, it looks a little short compared to what I'm saying or proposing. We are actually a lot closer to the proposal as some business licenses are in those miscellaneous spots. And as we go through, I wanted to mention regulatory fees. I know we've talked about that. We passed something recently that we still have to add to our fee schedule. They have to be net neutral. So they have to be related to what we do and a reasonable expectation of that cost. So how much time it takes for our code enforcement officer to do those things. So it has to be net neutral. We cannot make a profit off regulatory fees. We go into the second page. Delinquent business license renewals. I did not know this at the time, but I'm very glad we did the correct thing. You can only maximize this to 10% for delinquent business license. And the same can be said for interest on a business license, for them being consistently late over months and months and months. It's capped at 1.5%. Then as we go through, there's a lot of things in here that you'll notice gaps where it's been moved, and those are the things we've already talked about: refuse collection charges, tap fees, sewerage charges. Culture and recreation, this is where I have in my notes that I was going to highlight the lights and what a wonderful idea that was, but I've already done that.
It's still a wonderful idea. It's worth talking.
This is something I recommend we add to our fee schedule. It's not currently on there. Bad check fees to cover our cost when something bounces, if it happens. So I did put that there. And then core fees, this is something that was in the questions, and this is where a lot of what we talked about for the fiduciary funds, and I greatly appreciate Councilwoman McClanahan's insight onto this. I was thinking of it as just an outlier. There is a good chance this is the new normal, as we talked about. So essentially here, split the difference of what we're getting right now and what we had budgeted, just to ensure that we're not overly putting this in our budget and then coming short somewhere. And as we go through, the very last thing I would like to point out is cash balance transfer. So this here, this cash balance transfer is more than previous years. But what I'd like to highlight is this is no portion of this is for operational functions. It's all for one-time purchases, such as what's remainder of vehicles, the sign that we plan on doing. So none of it is for operational expenses. It's being treated a lot like we would for SPLOST. It's for one-time purchases that we have surplus funds to be able to afford right now. And it does not put our balance right now in any danger of not meeting the 6-month operating requirements of the state.
Let me ask at that point, Joe, like I know we've rolled over like 60,000 it was for the Public Works building renovation
Right.
for a couple of years. I mean, does that roll over and stay there for that and just doesn't reflect here, or is that part of that, or we're just switching what we're doing with it?
So the Public Works building in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, was it budgeted out of the SPLOST account?
No, it was a balance transfer that's rolled over we've kind of rolled it over each year
So
for that.
as a mechanism of understanding, I believe a rollover that's not used would simply be a surplus and then reflect in
Okay.
next year's budget. So that would just be reflected as a surplus for this year.
Okay.
However, there is a change of how we're funding that. It is in our SPLOST for that, at least that first.
I mean, we're showing it in the general fund budget now versus
Versus this upcoming budget. Yeah.
under a different area. Okay.
And that is much good.
Okay.
Right there, right? You did a great job, didn't you?
Great.
Yes.
You did a very
As I
good.
said off camera, City Clerk, and Deputy City Clerk Simon Cox was instrumental in making sure this happened on time. I like to use fun words, so pestering them for weeks and months. Every time I find something, I just instantly, hey, I don't care what, city councilwoman or mayor wants, you're doing this now. So that's why y'all
He's
have.
So that's why you said that to me.
Yeah, he's so mean.
But in reality, they have been such a help and,
Don't pack up yet.
I also want to make a comment. The 2 rounds of questions, as you made the budget available, and the 2 rounds of questions that came in from Councilmember McClanahan, this could actually be a training model on what to ask, look for, etc. The way that you included all of council, so everybody could see every single question, learn a lot that maybe they didn't know about, and then see your answers. It really was a training model. And it could be used
Everybody's
in the future.
packing up. We're not done.
No, we're not done.
that does remind me of, I knew I should have said it first because I forget. Councilwoman McClanahan's questions are a direct reason why in the initial proposal, property tax was higher. It wasn't over our rollback rate, but it was higher. She pointed out some things that we could reduce on or other revenue sources, to where right now the projection is a 3.9% or 3.9 millage rate. Last year we were the only ones in the county to do a lowering. Most people just go to the rollback rate, but this would, as long as things stay the same, because we only have a, not a proposed, tax guide, but, what they expect, an expectation. So as long as things stay the same from the county of what we get with the official one, with its current makeup, it's a 3.9% millage rate, which is a rollback from full one, or not.
It is a reduction.
And I will say this, the digest number estimates that we get every year have been pretty much on target every single year.
But those
So-
have changed since last year with all the HB 581.
Right,
Everybody's
right.
Yeah.
So-
Well, my understanding is we in Walton County have tried to take that into account this year as much as they could, so their digest numbers, I anticipate to be still very close, because we went up from 81 million to 90 million for
In the
this
county.
year. Huh?
In the
In the
county.
county, yes, not a.
No, that's our,
That's us.
that's our
That's our
digest
total.
number for the
Wow.
city of
Oh,
Walnut
sorry.
Grove.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry.
The digest number is basically the overall expectation for your formula.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to questions. Let's see, Linda, do you have any questions that you would like to ask at this point? We're just going down the road because I know where the questions are.
I do not.
Okay. Rachel, do you have any questions?
No.
Erica?
I don't.
Maxine?
Not so much questions, but comments.
Okay.
And a couple of things, I just want to say to council, food for thought before we get to deciding the final budget. So I'll just kind of go down my list. I'm going to start with expenses, Joe, and I can give you a copy of this for just my thoughts on it. If, number one, like if payroll taxes and retirement benefits, my thought is, why not round those off? It just makes budgeting look easier, and I've just got them highlighted in blue on here. And that's all, just a thought on that. I don't see any problem with doing that. And that just makes it easier in the long run. Any other changes here? I'm looking at my questions and notes. Oh, I did want to consider a reduction on the medical benefit people keep. Now, I know you used the numbers, and I don't know what numbers you used, but when I used 70 employees plus 2 ads, and considering that we probably won't have both of those new employees by July 1, that could be reduced slightly.
Just a little bit
'Cause-
of consideration there. So 1,800 of the total is the administrative cost. So it's not an actual employee cost, it would be administrative. But the fear I would have for lowering it out of a valid reason of we may not have it filled, that could get us into a bind if somehow we did get it filled and we did not have the funds available towards the end. So we would be saying you get this benefit, but we don't have the funding for it.
Okay.
What was the difference, Maxine, then?
5,000. So only five, yeah, I put it at 30.
And did that include the 2 positions?
Yes,
Okay.
for like, I think I had,
So is that 1,800
Well,
administrative fee
yeah.
one time, or is it per
yes,
employee?
it's $350 a month per employee, right?
Right, but there's also an administrative fee that's not
Yeah,
included.
which I did not include in administrative.
Okay.
So that was one consideration. All right, the rounding. And then, of course, I had made the suggestion of up on the gas allowance. And you don't even have it in as a gas allowance here at this time. So if he says we can do that, I think that the gas allowance needs its own line item so that it's not confusing with other travel.
Yeah, and, for the mayors, we can do that, but as I said with mine's actually taxable.
Okay,
Because it's a bill.
all right. So that was my only comment on that. Uniforms we've covered. All right, and that took care of expenses. It went to,
I changed my mind, I do have a question. But it's easy. So a cost benefit analysis from purchasing uniforms and issuing to employees versus renting makes more fiscal sense.
Once we get those, numbers, so we're gonna have to contact Centos, and while we're going through this budget process, and this is kind of the first time I've heard about it.
Yeah.
However, I do think it's a phenomenal idea. What we use now, I mean, don't get me wrong, they look great when we get them. The yellow highlighter looking thing soils very fast, and it's hard to get out. And there's ways around that, by having a rental uniform, they pick them up every week, they clean them for us, and then as they pick them up, they drop off the next week's clothing. On top of that, if we want to save costs for customization, and still have that reflectiveness, currently our building grounds manager, he wears a vest and over his uniform, and we can, put Public Works, City of Walnut Grove on those, and those will be issued.
Okay, love that, thank you.
Okay, Max.
okay, yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see.
I'm not sure how I felt about the electric franchise fee. I had it only 4,000 higher on that for the income. And I did want to ask about the insurance premium taxes. Because we were like at 152 for this year, and I don't know that those go down, do they? Are they?
Traditionally, no.
Okay.
I do think that one's attached to politics. It's gonna be very hard to gauge, especially if there's federal subsidies that come. On top of that, even in the state, it's hard to gauge because the state of Georgia has some of the highest premiums across the country. So if there's a fraud crackdown, or if it becomes a political matter going into election season, however, you're traditionally, yes, it wasn't goes high, it stays high.
Okay. I think I'm pretty good. I was hoping to get the millage rate down the bottom. I actually had, mine came out at 3.7, and you're now at what? 3.9. Okay.
We're in the threes though.
So, all right.
All right,
I
fantastic.
think I'm
All
good.
right.
So, we're saying we don't, at this point, see any need for any changes other than some minor things, such as once you get information on uniforms,
Gas,
the gas, anything like that we've discussed.
very small issues.
So can you plug those numbers if they differ? Once you do that, good.
This is the proposed one right now. This is what will go up on our website. After discussions today and having a conversation with Jay about the gas, we'll get those numbers adjusted, then we'll replace it and put in a second proposed, and then we'll have the public hearing. Yeah.
But it sounds like when it comes to gas, are we just talking about the $75 a month for the mayor?
We're talking about the $50 for the mayor and where it comes from. We're not
Okay.
talking about increasing
What
it.
we're really talking about from my perspective is whether that is considered a council salary increase or not. Because if it's a salary increase, you gotta go through all the steps of increasing it, and you gotta wait till the election. If it's a reimbursement, you do not have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, here's what I would recommend.
So that's from my.
Let's put it in as a gas allowance in the budget. And then for some reason, we find out that we can't do it that way. And we have to then go through the other process. We could,
Add it onto the
at that
revenue.
point, do whatever budget amendments necessary to move those funds to the proper location. Because we're thinking probably gas allowance is fine, correct?
That's my initial thought, yes.
So I mean, I would say plug that number there, probably.
Okay. Okay, all right, okay. If there's no more questions or comments, we're gonna go ahead and move forward, but I don't wanna rush anybody. This is important.
No, I may have questions after I get home.
There is nobody here from the public, so there will be no public comment. There is no executive session as far as I am aware, right? So is there a motion to adjourn? So, second?
Second.
Yes?
Second.
Maxine? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you all, and thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Great job.
Fantastic. Now, if we could-